slime molds are like the weird cousins of fungi, but they're not actually related at all. They might look like a blob of goo that's been left out in the rain, and honestly, it's kind of mesmerizing to watch them slither around on a petri dish. But don't let their slimy appearance fool you. They're far more complex than they seem. These organisms have been around for over 600 million years, which is longer than dinosaurs were even around. So, if you thought slime molds were just some kind of weird, simple blob, think again. Slime molds are actually a group of eukaryotic organisms that can be classified into two main types: plasmodial and cellular. Plasmodial slime molds are the ones you usually see as a single, amorphous mass that moves like a living puddle, while cellular slime molds exist as individual cells that come together only when they need to reproduce or find food. It's kind of like how some people live alone but occasionally team up for a party, except in this case, the party is survival. What makes slime molds so fascinating is their ability to solve problems without a brain. They can navigate mazes, find the shortest path through a maze, and even remember where they've been. Imagine if you could walk through a complex hallway and somehow figure out the fastest way out without any GPS or map. Sounds like something only a genius would do, right? Well, slime molds are basically nature's version of a genius, but with a lot more goo. Despite their intelligence, slime molds are often misunderstood. They're not plants, they're not animals, and they're definitely not fungi. In fact, scientists are still debating where exactly to place them in the tree of life. Some say they're part of a separate kingdom altogether, while others argue they should be reclassified as a type of fungus or even a protozoan. It's like trying to figure out if a pizza is Italian or just really good food. Both are true, but it's complicated. So why do we even care about slime molds? Well, aside from being fascinating and slightly creepy, they have real-world applications. Researchers study them to understand how simple organisms can solve complex problems, which has implications for fields like computer science and robotics. Plus, they're a reminder that not everything is as simple as it seems. Sometimes the most basic-looking creatures hold some of the biggest secrets. Slime molds are not your average blob of goo that you might find in a damp corner of your bathroom. These organisms, which are actually more closely related to fungi than to animals, have been quietly rewriting the rules of intelligence for decades. Imagine a creature that can solve mazes without any brain or nervous system. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi novel, right? Well, slime molds do exactly that, and it's not just a random fluke of evolution. When scientists first observed slime molds navigating through complex mazes, they were stunned. These simple organisms don't have eyes, ears, or even a brain in the traditional sense. Instead, they use a network of protoplasmic tubes to move and communicate. Think of it like a living circuit board that can adapt and reconfigure itself on the fly. It's as if the slime mold is using its own body to solve problems, which is pretty impressive for something that looks like a pile of sludge. But here's where things get even more mind-blowing. Slime molds can adapt to their environment in ways that challenge our understanding of intelligence. If you place them in a maze with multiple paths, they'll find the shortest route and avoid dead ends. They can also adjust their behavior based on environmental cues, like light or temperature. It's not just about finding food, it's about optimizing survival strategies in real time. What really sets slime molds apart is their ability to mimic neural networks. Scientists have discovered that these organisms can process information in a way that resembles the human brain. They use chemical signals and physical connections to transmit data across their bodies, creating a decentralized system of communication. This means they can make decisions without a central control unit, which is something even advanced AI systems struggle with. So why should we care about slime molds? Well, their intelligence challenges our assumptions about what it takes to be smart. If a simple organism can solve complex problems and adapt so effectively, maybe we need to rethink how we define intelligence itself. Plus, studying slime molds could lead to breakthroughs in fields like robotics, computer science, and even medicine. Who knew that a blob of goo could hold the key to unlocking new technologies? Okay, let's talk about slime mold for a second, because if you've ever seen that weird, gooey stuff on your bread or in your garden, you're not alone. But here's the thing. These little blobs aren't just some random blob of sludge. They're actually super important players in the ecosystem. You see, slime molds are decomposers, which means their main job is to break down dead organic matter, like fallen leaves, rotting wood, and even dead animals. And let me tell you, they do this with a level of efficiency that would make any recycling center jealous. So how exactly do they manage to break things down so well? Well, slime molds are basically like nature's version of a demolition crew. They secrete enzymes that act like molecular scissors, cutting through complex organic compounds into simpler forms. These enzymes can even tackle tough stuff like cellulose and lignin, which are the main components of plant cell walls. Without these little guys, all those dead plants would just sit there, turning into a giant pile of useless material instead of becoming nutrients that other organisms can use. But here's where it gets really interesting. Slime molds aren't just decomposers. They're also key players in nutrient cycling. When they break down organic matter, they release essential nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus back into the soil. These nutrients are then taken up by plants, which in turn feed animals, creating a sort of circular flow of life. It's like a cosmic recycling system, and slime molds are the unsung heroes behind it all. Now, you might be thinking, wait, these things are just blobs? How do they even move around? Well, slime molds have this amazing ability to change their shape and move through their environment in search of food. They can spread out like a living carpet, covering large areas in search of nutrients. And if they run into something they don't like, they can actually split themselves into multiple parts, kind of like a cellular version of the split move from a superhero movie. But let's not forget that slime molds are also incredibly resilient. They can survive extreme conditions by forming spores, which are like tiny, dormant seeds waiting for the right moment to sprout again. These spores can be carried by wind, water, or even animals, allowing slime molds to spread across vast distances and colonize new areas. It's a bit like nature's version of a viral marketing campaign, except instead of ads, it's just tiny, gooey blobs spreading everywhere. Okay, let's talk about slime molds like they're the villains of a sci-fi movie. These squishy, gooey creatures might look harmless with their blob-like bodies and slow movements, but when it comes to invading buildings, they're more like the sneaky intruders who slip through cracks and take over your home without you even noticing. Imagine this. You're sitting in your living room, sipping coffee, and suddenly, poof! A slime mold has made its way through a tiny gap in the wall, spreading like a green army across your floors and ceilings. It's not just a mess. It's an invasion. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Slime molds aren't just squishy blobs. They're actually pretty smart when it comes to finding food and avoiding danger. They can sense light, gravity, and even chemicals in the air, which means they'll navigate their way through your walls like a tiny, gooey version of a GPS system. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about how they can actually eat things like paper, plastic, and even concrete. That's right, your favorite coffee table might be at risk from these little green invaders. But it's not just about aesthetics or the mess they make. Slime molds can cause real damage to infrastructure, especially in places where moisture is a problem. They thrive in damp environments, so if your building has leaks or poor ventilation, you're basically setting up a slime mold buffet. Over time, these organisms can weaken materials like wood and insulation, leading to structural issues that could be costly to fix. And let's not forget about the health risks. Some species of slime molds can release spores into the air, which might cause respiratory problems for people with allergies or asthma. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, these are just tiny organisms. How can they really pose a threat to urban settings? Well, imagine a city where every building has its own slime mold army crawling through walls and spreading across sidewalks. It's not the kind of scenario you'd see in a horror movie, but it's actually happening in some places around the world. Slime molds are becoming more common in cities because of climate change, which is making things wetter and warmer. Perfect conditions for these organisms to thrive. So what can be done about this? Well, prevention is key. Keeping buildings dry, fixing leaks, and ensuring proper ventilation can help keep slime molds at bay. But if they do manage to get in, you'll need to take action quickly. Some people use bleach or other disinfectants to kill the mold, but it's important to be careful with these chemicals. And if all else fails, there are specialized cleaning products designed specifically for slime molds that can help remove them without causing too much damage to your home or environment. Okay, so you're probably thinking, wait, slime mold? That's the gooey stuff that grows on bread, right? Well, yes, but here's the twist. It might be more than just a breakfast disaster. Scientists are starting to wonder if these slimy little creatures could actually play a role in disease outbreaks. Now, don't panic. This isn't about your pet slime mold turning into a zombie apocalypse. But let's take a closer look at how these organisms might indirectly influence the spread of pathogens. Slime molds are fascinating because they're not quite animals or plants. They're more like eukaryotic organisms that can change their shape and move around. They thrive in damp, dark places, which is why you often find them on old bread or in your shower. But here's where it gets interesting. These molds can create microhabitats that are perfect for other microbes to grow. Think of it like a slime mold being the ultimate host for bacteria and fungi, sort of like a microbial Airbnb with no security deposit. Now, some researchers have noticed that certain types of slime molds might actually help pathogens survive in environments where they would otherwise struggle. For example, if a pathogen needs a moist environment to thrive, slime molds could be providing the perfect conditions for it to hang out and multiply. It's like having a cozy little spa for bacteria, complete with humidity control and a massage from the mold's gooey texture. But wait, could slime molds actually help spread diseases? Well, not directly, but they might create an environment that makes it easier for pathogens to move around. Imagine if you had a slime mold growing on a surface where a virus or bacteria could hitch a ride. The slime mold's sticky texture and ability to absorb moisture might give those microbes a little boost in their journey through the environment. It's like a microbial Uber driver, taking pathogens from one place to another. Another angle is that slime molds can break down organic matter, which means they're constantly recycling nutrients in an ecosystem. This process could potentially release dormant pathogens back into the environment, making them more active again. So, while slime molds are busy cleaning up dead stuff, they might also be giving old viruses and bacteria a second chance to cause trouble. It's like nature's version of a recycling center with a dark side.